Chris, what is our third main topic today?
This one comes from Alan. Hey, everybody. I've been seeing a lot of amazing positive first reactions to Top Gun Maverick. I've heard that the review embargo is happening on Thursday, and if so, where do you see this film's percentage on Rotten Tomatoes? Also, do you think this film will beat the original Top Gun in box office and Rotten Tomatoes? Thanks, everybody.
I'll tell you what, I don't know off the top of my head. Ray, can you look up the box office for the original Top Gun? Because I don't know off the top of my head what it was. I'm not suspecting it's going to be massively huge. Okay, so look, we were at Cinemacon 1 or 2 weeks ago. I can't even remember now. And they showed us Top Gun.
57%.
No, the box office.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, box office. 57% of what? So they showed us the full movie of Top Gun, and I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away. I could not believe how it exceeded the original in every conceivable way.
Which number do you want?
Worldwide.
It's 357 million.
357 million for the original Top Gun. The only way I would say that the original is still a little bit better is the love interest in the first film, to me, is still a little bit stronger than the love interest in the second. Other than that, in every way, shape, and form, this is a superior film. And it is exciting and thrilling and edge of your seat and all this kind of ridiculousness. This movie is going to be big. It's definitely going to exceed the first Top Gun's box office. That's not going to be a problem. It is definitely going to exceed its critic rating as well, because as of this morning, Top Gun Maverick was holding, after 49 reviews, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yes.
Now, that has changed
Oh.
as I bring it up because our friends over at Forbes submitted the first negative review. So our friends over at Forbes, I think it was review number 52 or whatever, went in. And as a result, Top Gun Maverick is now sitting at, I've got 68 reviews listed here, is sitting at 95%.
Oh, well.
So I think one or two people came in with negative ones. So yeah, when we put the show notes together, it was holding 100%. It's now, because of 2 negative reviews, it's down to 95. But
It's just me and Forbes.
just you and Forbes. But I'll tell you what, this is great news, especially when you start reading the enthusiasm. It's not just that the reviews are positive. It's that when you read the reviews for them, they're filled with a lot of excitement for them as well. For instance, take this. This comes to us from the review over at Variety, who wrote the following. One could argue that our new post-Cold War world didn't need a Top Gun sequel. Tom Cruise himself once insisted as much. But one would be wrong to do so. Building on the 3-part steel to 1-part corn equation that director Tony Scott so effectively set 36 years earlier, the new film more than merits its existence, mirroring Cruise's character, Pete Maverick Mitchell, in pushing the limits of what the machine could do. The machine in this case being cinema, which takes to the skies as no blockbuster has before. And that kind of enthusiasm is the energy you start reading in a lot of these reviews. Look, we haven't done a formal Top Gun review here yet, and we won't do it right now, but you've heard us talk about this. And with the exception of Chris, gush about this movie. Like this, I was telling Jonathan, I came into the office the other day. I was telling Jonathan, I said, Top Gun's on my brain. Because on my way here, I hit the accelerator in the car to merge into the next lane. And as I do, all I could hear was Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins in the back. As I'm doing, I don't know why.
Then he puts on his sunglasses.
Then I put on the sunglasses and I turned to the car next to me, gave him the salute. No, I didn't do that. But I mean, this was a movie that had me grinning and then tearing and then gripping the edge of my seat. Listen, they have gone a lot into the aerial stuff in this movie to talk about all the things we did to get all this aerial footage, 800 hours and blah, blah, blah. And I'm telling you what, whatever they did, it paid off. It worked. And it was exciting and thrilling and in a way that I never thought. And Rob, these movies we're not going to see fighter pilot movies much longer, at least not one set in a modern day. And this movie actually talks about that a little bit. But my God, this movie's thrilling, and I am not at all surprised to see the critic rating it's getting right now. Rob, you see the ratings it's getting, merited, not merited? How do you see it working out?
I love this movie. I mean, it was, to me, I've always liked Top Gun as a beautiful confection of 80s filmmaking. Tony Scott coming off The Hunger and Beverly Hills Cop 2 working for Simpson Bruckheimer. It was designed to be a thrill ride, but there wasn't a lot of depth there. But it was fun. It was a fun movie. Tom Cruise, that was after Risky Business. That's probably his most well-known breakout role. I mean, that's what made him a star. This movie is actually, like you said, it's emotional. It's character-driven. I felt this movie. I'm looking at this Forbes review, and the headline for this Forbes review says, he writes, Tom Cruise's Top Gun Maverick gets trapped in the nostalgia zone. I would reject that because I think
for him that's what it was, but for us not so much.
But I think the movie I think that's even part of the plot of the film is about a man who has, on one sense, he's stayed true to who he is, but on the other sense, life's kind of passed him by in a certain way. His personal life isn't there, and the life that he built for himself, is coming to an end. And there's a sense of melancholy and a sense of looking back at your life because, in a way, times change, technology changes, and all of that was a part of the story. And it made it more heartfelt. And I felt I was really moved by this movie, if that makes any sense. And I felt some kinship to it in the sense that as we get older, I've got a birthday coming up this week, and you wonder, well, as you move through life, are you still relevant? Is the job we do still relevant? How do you continue to make yourself relevant? And those are themes that I didn't expect to feel when I was watching this movie. Now, that's one thing. This movie kicks ass. It has great characters. There's so much fun. It does hark back to the first movie, but the aerial photography is unlike anything you've seen. And something else that surprised me about this movie, John, it's a great war movie too. I mean, if you like combat and action adventure, this is a men and women on a mission movie. This had a military objective. I didn't expect to see that. And this movie delighted
against
me.
a country that is never named.
Yeah, they never. I thought that was. They never tell you. Yeah, they never tell you who it is. I mean, you don't.
Which was fine. It worked.
Yeah. But the look, this movie just surprised me. It was much better than I thought it was going to be, and it stayed with me, and it was surprisingly emotional.
Now, Chris, it's not working on that the way we're gushing about it.
Yeah.
It's not working that well for everybody, obviously not for Forbes. And it didn't quite hit you the same way either.
No, this whole title here too, the nostalgia zone, that was what we talked about was I don't have nostalgia for this movie, so it didn't hit me the same way. I wasn't alive when it came out. It wasn't something I saw till much later in my life when my dad showed it to me. And I was still just kind of, okay, yeah, this is a kind of movie my dad loves, a war movie. And that's not my thing. And it's objectively a good film. I do want to say that. As somebody who's not into these kinds of movies, I watched it and went, wow, this is beautiful cinematography. Wow, this is gorgeous editing. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic acting. All of those things still hit, and I can appreciate it. It's just not one that, I'm going to keep coming back to.
Didn't create that emotional experience for you.
Exactly. I will say there's a scene where I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah. And I know. I think we're all talking about the same scene.
Yep.
That's like there was not a dry eye in the house.
Absolutely.
And Aaron Cummings was just a blithering mess.
Oh my gosh.
When that scene happened.
She stayed so emotional the rest of the trip when we talk about it.
Oh no, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, Ray, I'm curious. Like you watched Top Gun with us. What was your overall impressions of the movie?
I'm gonna agree with I think someone in the chat said Christian Harloff said it's the best movie he's seen this year. I'm gonna agree with him. For me, I will say that if you didn't like if you didn't see the first Top Gun, or maybe you hated it, maybe you could skip this. But even if you're okay with the first one, you should see this because this is an upgrade from the first one. I think in every way. And the love interest. The only love interest I care about is Tom with that F whatever he was
18.
flying. Yeah, that's it. The adrenaline in those scenes. Like I said, my favorite part about the movie wasn't when they were even in the air. It was just like the whole game planning, that strategy room.
It was kind of like a heist film.
It was,
right?
yeah,
It was like a heist
it's like
film.
just that whole sequence, those sequences, and the music they played behind it, like it's like the little bass and stuff like that. I was like, oh, let's go do this. So I was hyped before they even went on those missions.
Now
So-
there are a couple things in the movie. We talked about this at our Cinemacon report, and these are two things that are in various trailers. So I'm not really revealing anything here, okay? Because these are parts that are shown in trailers. My biggest criticism of the film, besides the fact that the love interest didn't really click all that well for me, despite the fact that Jennifer Connelly is awesome, it's sometimes a little too on the nose, right?
Yeah.
So, for instance, it's like, of course, one of the most iconic scenes of the original Top Gun is the beach volleyball scene. So they had to find a way to recreate that, get everybody shirtless out on the beach, but instead of volleyball, they're playing football, right? That's it. Honestly, the whole scene was an excuse for Tom Cruise to say, hey, everybody, look how good I still look approaching 60. And
good for him.
You know, full credit to him. He looked amazing in it. But it was a little bit too on the nose. But then the big one for me, because you see in the trailer, like, there's a scene where they're on the bar singing and whatever, and Goose's son sitting at the piano playing Great Balls of Fire with everybody else. It's like, okay, that's a little on the nose. But honestly, that's my biggest complaint about the movie. That's my biggest complaint. This is a lot of fun. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Oh, sorry, did you have something else you want to add?
Well, I was just gonna say before we saw Doctor Strange, they played an extended 5-minute sequence from Top Gun in IMAX. Now, we didn't see it in IMAX. We saw it on a Dolby Vision screen,
right,
which looked great. But seeing that stuff in IMAX, because they shot a lot, they had to design camera rigs to actually put inside cockpits.
Yep.
I would, if you have any interest in this movie at all, see it on the biggest, loudest screen possible. Because I'm going to see it again on the 23rd at a fan screening event with Cliff at the Chinese. Watching it in front of Doctor Strange, this aerial photography sequence, it's astonishing, dude. There's never been aerial photography in a movie like this, ever.
Yep.
And there, like you pointed out, there never will be again.
No, there'll never be something like this again. Anyway, guys, questions for you. What do you think? Have you been hearing a lot of stuff? Have you been keeping track of what's going on with Top Gun? How big of an opening can it have? I just know the movie's amazing. I honestly don't know how many people are going to rush out to see it. I just don't know. All I know is that you should. Whatever you guys' thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, HelloFresh. Now, Ann and I were both working professionals, so sometimes making delicious and nutritious meals can sometimes be very time constraining on us. And that is why we love HelloFresh. HelloFresh makes having delicious and nutritious meals fun, easy, and it saves us time and money. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable, and that's why it's America's #1 meal kit. And listen, HelloFresh is 72% cheaper than dining at a restaurant, and it's even cheaper than grocery shopping. That's money back in your pocket. HelloFresh has fit and wholesome recipes for satisfying and nutritious meals that you can feel good about, with 6 recipes per week to choose from, including low-calorie and carb-conscious options. So right now, guys, go to HelloFresh.com/Campea16 and use the code Campea16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. Once again, that's HelloFresh.com/Campea16. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.